Here we go. All right. Hello, everyone. We are
The Knitters Are Here.
And today we are here with our amazing friend Brenda. And where are we? Cast On Yarn Studio in beautiful Vermilion, Ohio, which, I almost went into a weather forecast, but I'll stop there. I don't know what's this thing. Anyway, Brenda has finally, we got all of our calendars in place and we're able to come up and visit this amazing shop.
Which we love.
Oh my gosh.
We loved her other shop, but this one is just absolutely amazing.
Yep. Hands down. So if you haven't had a chance to get up to Cast On Yarn Studio in Vermilion, Ohio, we highly, highly recommend it. A great summer getaway. Lots of stuff to do here.
It's a great, beautiful great area.
They have a nice pie shop and ice cream and,
Coffee shop.
Chocolate shop.
That's right.
A nice little beachy area, like front, and it's just beautiful. And in the fall, there's the Woolly Bear Festival.
Correct.
So they still have that.
I believe so.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. Lots of events every weekend, even. Third Thursdays. Today is Vet Million. So the whole town is full of vets.
Corvettes. Yes,
Corvettes.
they should have
Corvette. Very cool.
Silly me, I'm thinking animals.
Me too. I was thinking veterinarians and
everybody's bringing their pets down.
Full of hot vets.
great minds think alike.
There we go. We're great.
See what you learn on our podcast.
So Brenda, what brought you to Vermilion? Are you originally from this area?
No, I'm actually a Michigan girl. So
That place up north.
yeah, so it, a man.
Yep,
Do
that
I say
happens.
more?
There you
No.
go.
So is Mr. Cast On from this area then?
My husband is from Canfield.
Okay.
So he finished school and then he had worked for a couple of chiropractors, and one of the reps had said, if you want to locate and you love the water and you love boating, you should check out Vermilion.
Okay.
So that's kind of what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we knew no one.
And
Not
Mr.
a soul.
Cast On, we refer to, if you don't already, he knits.
He does.
And how's his sweater coming along?
Really good.
Yeah, is he on
Really
Sleeve Island
good.
yet, or is he still on-
is on Sleeve Island.
Aw.
He is gonna finish it. Yes, I'm
All right.
so impressed.
Is this his first sweater?
It is
Okay.
And this
Yes.
sweater is for himself,
for
right?
himself.
So did he come in? Did he pick out the
He
colors
did.
himself?
He did. Wound his own yarn. I've
Wow.
helped a couple of times. I've had to wind some more, but he has looked at all the tutorials. He's been pretty self-sufficient.
Wow.
So,
And he's enjoying it.
He is.
That's
right now,
fabulous.
he's kind of, swayed a little bit because of hunting and fishing and
Right.
boating and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
he's all in. Out of anybody in the world, I never would have thought. But
Yeah.
So when did he start knitting?
it'll be 2 years ago.
2 years.
New Year's
Wow.
Eve.
Okay.
We went to our family cabin in New York, and he said, "Throw some needles in." Yarn. And I was like, "Yeah, right, sure." And I just thought he was appeasing me,
Right.
but no, he was laying down on the sofa, sipping bourbon, singing to "Eye the Tiger," and just knitting. It's hilarious.
I love it. Please tell me you recorded that. So you have
Oh
it in
yeah, I have a
memory.
video to prove it.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
I can
told
even
you
send
my
it to you.
grandfather knit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the war effort.
Yes.
World War II.
Yes.
So.
Did he sing "Eye of the Tiger" while he knit?
No.
Okay. But he's super supportive in every way,
Oh,
and now
good.
he knits, and
There you go.
yeah, so yeah, it's a good thing.
Sweet. Now, how long have you had Cast On Studio?
I am going on. I started in the spring of 2017, Cast On Yarn Studio, and so I'm going into my 7th year.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
that's fantastic.
Wow.
It feels like, I don't know. Ever
like
since
longer than
and
that.
it feels like that's about how long I've been into
Yes.
the real world of knitting. You know, like I
Yes.
was in there is a time and a place for acrylic yarn. I get it.
Yes.
But when your eyes are open to
Well,
what's in
and you
these
didn't know about
shops-
this. You have no
Well,
idea
And
that
Jen,
this exists.
That's true. It was because I started knitting in the fall of 17.
Uh-huh.
And then we went on our first
Yarn discovery tour?
No,
It was
we went to
creative.
Pittsburgh Art
in the spring of
Festival.
18.
Okay.
So a year after, you did have your eyes
Yeah.
open to
You girls have been
this.
coming since then. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember your first yarn tour. I have
Yeah.
pictures to prove it.
Yeah.
And
we're
acrylic
addicted.
yarns have changed so much.
They're so
Yes.
different now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, they really are. There is a need for all of that.
Yeah.
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 So it's not the same.
But
No.
when you touch the stuff that's in here and your immense quantity of La BMA is amazing. Like I can't like I watch other podcasts and it just seems like they're so far away from me, and here you've got the
I have a lot of
entire
bases.
collection almost right here, so close to home.
And I plan on adding more.
So close to me.
So close to you. Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness. And then
That's my favorite color, and it's fuzzy.
now, when you began your yarn shop, was this a dream you always had, or what made you just say, "Hey, I want to open a yarn shop"?
Yes, I wanted to be all of it. It was a dream, and I always wanted to do that. I learned to knit at a real young age in 4-H, and
4-H taught knitting?
yes, it did.
Wow.
Yes.
I wonder if they
I
still do
learned to
that.
knit, and my first project was a poncho.
Oh,
That's a big
That's a big
project.
project.
And so my parents at the time, there were yarn shops weren't around in the little town that I lived in, or any towns really. I mean, yarn shops were very sparse. And my parents took me to Kmart, and they didn't think I was, going to be, oh, she'll, even though I've always been real crafty. So they bought me just a few skeins. Well, I went to go back and get those other skeins, and that's when I learned about dye lots.
Oh, no.
so it's a tonal poncho.
It was very tonal. Which now it probably wouldn't have been such a big deal, but it just broke my heart because, but it's not, it wasn't that big of a deal, and that's how I learned to knit. So I learned to knit, and through the years, I mean, my grandmother crocheted, my aunt is a knitter and still is, and so I always was involved in everything. My mother was a seamstress, well, she sewed a lot of our clothes and that kind of thing. So yeah, I always learned from someone. No professional, like going to a college or anything, but I learned a lot just by doing. And back then you learned a lot because patterns weren't test knitted like they are now.
Right.
So if you became, you were knitting the top
Yeah.
and there was a mistake,
Yeah. You didn't
just-
have Allison where
you
you're
didn't
like,
have, I didn't have, there's
Yeah.
no,
There were no
How to fix-
tutorials?
no YouTubes?
nothing.
Oh.
So you
man.
either gave up
Yeah.
and started something else, or you went ahead and you tried to fudge it and fix it, which
Yeah.
I did a lot, and that's how I've learned a lot.
Oh, I would ride my bike up to Grandma. I don't know what happened, made it
Yeah.
better. So I never learned how to fix the thing, but
Yeah.
it would come back all fixed.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's cool.
Now, when you decided to open your yarn shop, did you have the name of it right away, or did it take you a while to come up with
Well,
it?
that's a cool story too. So when I figured out cast on, I wanted something nautical. I wanted something in town
Right.
that
Because
felt
of
that
Vermilion.
lakey feel.
Okay.
And my daughter, who is my graphic designer, and she does a great job, she was going to make my logo. And she said, well, Mom, let's just talk about it out loud. Like what, how,
Good brainstorming.
we just started. She goes, well, what do you do when you start your knitting project? I said, well, she said, what's it called? Or how do you, And I said, cast on. She goes, that's it. That's what you should call it.
There you go.
So the reason, and another reason why I like it is cast on what it means to me is a new project, new beginning.
Absolutely.
So,
Aw.
so that's my, and I love my name and I love my logo about it too.
It's,
So
yes, I love your logo.
it's fun.
Now, when you start your day, how, like as a yarn shop owner, how do you begin your day? Like, what is
Begin my day at home or begin my day in the shop?
From the beginning. So like it's a work day, right?
Yeah.
You get up, you make your coffee. Do you stop for coffee and then come right to the shop, or do you make sure that you come to the shop early so that you have you time, like knitting time or tidy time or
Well, I get up in the morning. I get up in the morning and do a lot of reflection and do, I feel really lucky to do what I do because I've always wanted to do it. Excuse me, I'm gonna cry, but I am very happy to do what I do. So I get up in the morning and I make a point to knit for a long time. I knit and I have coffee and then I get ready and then I come in and depending on if I have people waiting for me.
ooh, that happens?
Oh yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, so I may have people waiting for me. I may I may have some appointments. I may have, do some ordering, answer emails, a lot of
Because
things.
you also have an online portion.
I do have an online presence.
And that started when COVID hit, right?
Yes, that started when COVID hit. I am a diehard brick and mortar girl. Like I love a small town. I love small businesses. I will support them before I support any of the big box stores. So in my mind, my idea of having the shop was not to have an online store, but we had circumstances have changed in our world, and so
And
I
you
decided,
continue to have that now that we're open and we're all okay.
yes.
Do you foresee that will continue forever?
Yes, part of what's really fun about my town is our town here in Vermilion is there are a lot of tourists. There are people that, come and they come every year. So I have, customers relationships that I've started, as they come in the summer. Well, now they can do things in the wintertime too. So they can order online. It's just worked out really well.
And you have that connection.
extra skein and they
Yeah.
need it, so
Right.
you can get it
Which is what I do. Which is what I do because I'm like, do I want to drive an hour? So I'll just message her and
Right.
see if she has it, and then we'll go out. Yeah.
Well, it makes it available for everyone. I do have a lot of passive buyers too, because with having Brooklyn Tweed and La Viana May, I've been considered a destination shop. So
nice.
people stop, and with my new location not being downtown, people stop from the freeway that are maybe traveling through, because we all Google yarn shops in the
Yes, we
area
do.
whenever we go anywhere.
Yes, we do.
So
My husband actually asks sometimes. He'll go
Yeah.
because I'll say,
Do you have a route
I need
plan?
to use a restroom at exit 42. Is there a yarn shop there? A reason why you need to use it? There's a yarn shop there, and I'm
Yeah.
sure they have a bathroom.
Yes. So yes, the question is, or the answer is yes. I have an online presence, and it's going very well.
Good.
Now, looking around your shop,
Yes.
you have every single color imaginable in this shop. Now,
Aw.
in speaking with other people, like they tend, like I'm an earth tone girl. Like I can imagine if I had that kind of ordering power, I would probably order those colors. Like, how do you go through the process? Are you just that diverse and like you've got that eye for all these colors, or is there someone that helps you order the colors? Like, you've got little.
Because I would order nothing but mustard.
And I would order the blues and purples.
And
Yeah.
you would be the light blue
cools.
tropicals.
Yeah.
Which you all wear. well.
Depending on what mood I was in on that particular day.
I would just get mustard.
Well, I do it all myself,
Wow.
That is impressive.
and I run my shop. I do my own social media. I do my own my online presence, I do all of that.
Fantastic.
So the girls, I do have a couple girls now that when they come in to help me during the work week, they can post for me. They'll do 1 or 2 posts.
Which gives you an opportunity to take a day off to
Well,
do things you need to do personally.
Correct.
Yeah.
Personally, and then I do my ordering now too, so that's worked out really well.
Good.
But
When do you
yes.
find time to knit? Other than the morning.
Oh, I knit all the
First morning.
time.
Yeah. So the
I could
theory
knit in my
then-
sleep.
The theory then, I always hear people say, well, if you own a yarn shop, forget knitting, you'll never knit again. That's not true, because
No.
if you're a knitter, you'll find a moment, a space, something, right?
I don't knit so much in the shop.
Right.
I don't have time to do that, but I do knit at home a lot. I'm really fortunate. I mean, my kids are older,
Right.
so I don't have that, distraction. And my husband, he is a physician, so he works, pretty, later hours.
Right.
And he has his interests too, so,
Yeah. Which now include knitting.
which now include knitting.
So some people, when they have an empty nest, they buy a dog or a cat. You just opened a yarn shop.
I opened up a yarn shop. There you go.
Going that route. Yeah.
We love that. Oh my goodness.
So when we walk into your shop,
Yes.
what is the experience that you want us to have? What vibe or what feel are you hoping we'll get out of this?
Well, my first and foremost is that you feel comfortable.
Ding, check.
Yep.
I would like to have like a wow. Oh my goodness. Beautiful.
You do have that.
Charming. Charming and organized.
Yes,
I
it
like
is that.
I like people to be able to figure out, what things are and where they're at. Even though I do explain everything, but I do like to have things organized. So,
I remember your old shop.
Yes.
I'd gone in, walked around, made my purchases and left, and my husband met back up with me and he's like, where'd you go? I'm like, there's this little yarn shop. So we walked in and we came back in and you were chatting with me. He goes, how long have you known her? I'm like, I just met her.
Aw.
And it was just that instant, like you have that
Yes.
social connection that you just make with every person that walks in here,
Aw.
that you feel like you belong in this shop. And I appreciate that so much because, you just, different shops have different vibes, but
Yes.
it does. I felt like I'd known you for years and we had just met. And I think
Yep, same,
you explained the
same.
same thing.
Well,
Same
And
exact
then
thing.
to add on to that, then when I came in by myself the first time, I had my roommate with me, and I said, oh, a couple of my friends have been here, Jen and I think she had her husband Dave, and Darcy and her husband Frank, and you were like, oh yeah, I remember them. They did, and she knew.
She knew what you bought?
exactly who they are, who they were at the time. So yeah, that
Well,
personal connection.
I love my
actually.
people. Well, we're all one ahead because we all love yarn.
Right.
So,
We speak the
I
same
mean,
language.
we all speak the same language. So
Yes.
but yes, I mean, I think us all, we've known each other for a while. It's kind of been fun when you come in. I don't get to see you a lot, but it's,
Right, yeah.
you live
We should
kind of
move.
far. Yeah, come on.
Is there a second story? So how do you have your shop organized?
I go by weight. I go by, like on this side I have, the specialty yarns a little bit more, my more exclusive yarns to the shop and to the area, and then I go by weights.
And you have a great variety of yarn, from yarn that's exclusive and maybe a little more on the higher end to very affordable
I have something for
workhorse
everyone.
yarns. Yes.
That's important to me. I believe that's what a yarn shop is about.
Well, one thing that, to go back to your other shop, which was teeny tiny.
Yes.
It's just a space around this table.
Yes, it literally was
basically.
the space around
the
this table. It was so neat and organized, and you made the most of that little bit of space. It would always amazed me how much you had in there, and it didn't feel overcrowded. It didn't feel cramped, except for when you had a trunk show and there were tons of people there.
Yes.
And then it was like,
We were tossing yarn over
Yeah,
at
but
each other.
I can't breathe.
that didn't prevent us.
It
from
didn't
going
prevent
in.
us from
No,
going
just
in,
that
not at all.
People just shuffled to
No,
to
and
like
people were very,
make room.
very understanding,
Yeah,
and
they're
they
like,
would
"Oh,
move
excuse
because
me."
they had just been there and wanted to look
Yeah.
at that. But the amount of, the different things that you had, I mean, obviously you've expanded because you have more space.
Right.
Right.
But you made the best use of that small
Maximize the
amount of space than I have ever seen.
Oh,
And
thank you.
it was just an amazing shop
It was
to
a fun
go to.
time. It was
and
a really
the
fun
first I knew
time.
Jen and I came down here the first time, and it was like, oh my gosh, she took what she had.
And they did that without me.
I
know.
know. Camping.
You were camping.
You were camping.
And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is what the other shop. It
grew
still,
up.
it still
It
feels
grew
like
up.
the other
This is my
shop.
big girl
Yeah,
shop.
it's
This is
And
what
it just
people-
grew
Yeah.
up. It was just an amazing transformation.
It's
It was
the
very
butterfly.
seamless. It
Yeah.
felt.
Yes.
It felt.
It was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a, I went back and forth because we were in COVID. I had restrictions like everybody on how many people you could put in. They allowed me, for my space, 1.2 people will.
I think I remember
0.2
that
person,
because
a toe.
like one of us would go in while the other paced outside the door,
Yeah,
outside on the
so,
sidewalk, and then it was like a switch.
For a while
Yeah.
it was a little bit frustrating
It didn't
and
prevent
hard.
us.
No.
No.
And then it just kind of evolved. My husband and I own this building, so this was actually a room that was not being used.
Okay.
It was being used, but it was like for junk.
Right.
And my husband and I were fishing one day, and he said, you should move. And because I was kind of down, like we all were
Yeah.
during that
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
It was tough.
And it just clicked. A light bulb clicked because I have beautiful windows now.
Yep.
People can knit outside, which we have
There's
done
a nice little
now.
patio area
Yep.
that we
I
did
have
that we went to for
parking,
knitting
and so it just worked
It
out
works.
really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you're here, is there and all set up, is there a favorite spot of yours here? Is there a spot that you're just like, I just like that little nook, or
Yeah.
I like to sit
The
here?
display or something.
I really like having windows, and this is usually where I sit. I usually sit here and just, because I'm still in awe. It gives me inspiration, to have the outdoor, to look at things like that.
Yep.
Yeah. But I love all of the areas, and I work really hard to make sure that it's all appealing, like in all little nooks and crannies.
Did you design your layout and put all together all of the display areas yourself?
This
Or
was...
you said your daughter is a graphic designer. Did she help? Because, she obviously has an artistic eye too.
Well, my bestie, my good friend, my best friend, she is an interior designer.
Oh, okay.
So I had an original plan, and she said, well, think about it. Maybe you don't want that. Maybe you should think that. And she's not a forceful person. She just is really just helpful. So she
Good.
helped me when I needed it, but I knew I wanted really good lighting.
Yes. Yes.
And this-
Critical, actually. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
very, very critical. So, we did knock some walls out, and it was quite, to do a renovation during COVID, it
Yes.
sounds a little crazy,
Yeah.
but we just went for it.
Yeah.
And, it was a process, but it worked. It worked really well.
It worked very well.
Thank you.
Are there any yarns or yarn companies that are still on your radar, that you're still, it's like in your future, if I could get that, I would really love to bring that in, or?
I've been really lucky to work with a lot of yarn companies. And, I have some things in the works that I'm not ready to share yet.
Stay
Um,
tuned.
I'm
What
always...
about local dyers? Who do you have in now? That's
Well, I have
local?
Laura Reagan, who is Created for You by Laura, and we've
Yes.
had some fun because if ever I see a pattern, she's been fabulous about, well, we can dye what colors you like. She has been super good about that. So, and I love her as a person, and I
Yes.
love her as a yarn dyer. She just is full of color, and so you'll see her all over the shop, and she kits things up for me. I love her she's about as local as it could be.
Yeah.
She's
yeah,
right.
we know Laura.
You do know Laura.
We do,
Love
yes.
her. Yep.
Yes. And then I have.
And she's on our radar too.
Yes. She's on a lot
We're
of people's.
coming for you, Laura.
Yes.
Yes. So yes, I love her. And then, I have a lot of other dyers that I have relit friendships with. Chelsea Yarns. She's out of Red Bank.
New Jersey.
Yes, and she's super nice. Cake Wool, Alyssa, she's out of Socrates. So I have Skein Cocaine, Gina, she's real busy right now, but I'm hoping she's going to send me some stuff soon. But, just a lot of, I like to work with people who want to work with me.
Right.
I've had, a few experiences that, I've been really excited to get the yarn, and then I get it and I'm not, we just don't click, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
part of what it is.
Right.
And
Right.
so
And-
if you have that type of situation happen, you're not gonna like the yarn. You won't.
Right.
It will feel weird. It's not a good
That's true.
vibe,
Yeah.
and that happens in life.
That
and
laps over.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I like a nice vibe and a good people that like to work with me.
So, as a shop, do you
Yes.
participate in any festivals, Fiber Fun? I know I'm not in on purpose.
Okay.
Oh,
Because you were at Wild and Woolly. Are
I
there
do
any
that every
others
year.
that you participate in?
I really like Wild and Woolly, but I'm a yarn shop owner.
Cool.
Cool.
you don't go to any other festivals then?
I go, but I don't. My shop. No, I don't. It's not my thing to. It's a lot of work.
It is.
Yes.
It would be.
Yeah.
That would be.
But I
And-
really enjoy Wild and Woolly. And I have
It's
stuff
local.
here, I have stuff here. I've been approached many times to many different venues and, events, and I'm just not interested. I really like having a shop.
So, on the opposite side of that coin, trunk shows. Do you bring people in?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anybody upcoming on your radar?
Maybe.
We don't know that either. Any new designers that you're watching?
Oh yeah, there's a couple that I am intrigued by. One of them, Lily Kate Makes.
Oh,
she's
not familiar with her?
She's somebody to look at. Young girl, maybe 25-ish. She's been designing since she's been 15. I hear she's
her.
Laura Gon's daughter.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that her name, Laura Gon?
Yes.
Yes. And darling, she lives in the UK. She has very simple patterns, but she puts like inlays, like mohair inlay. You just have to see her. She just is cute. She's also a model.
What was the last name? Was it M-A-T-E?
Lily Kate France.
Oh, France. Okay.
Yeah. Or Lily Kate Makes on Realm.
Mix.
Yes.
I see. Okay, I thought that was the last name. Okay.
Yeah. Lily Kate Makes, and she's on Instagram, and so it's just interesting. So I like her because she's doing a little bit of everything. So I'm really curious to see how she's going. And then I like Jimmy Knits.
Well, that one either.
Jimmy Knits. I've done some of her patterns. I like her design. She is really cool. I think she lives in the UK as well. And then
How do you find these designers? Is this something through Instagram or Ravelry?
I've found them through Instagram. I find a lot of my inspiration from other customers. I mean, there is a lot of really talented people that come into my shop. I've had designers in my shop as well. They come in and, hey, I'm a designer, and I look
Nice.
and I did that pattern. Really? That's, so that's real fun. Yeah, but customers, they're really in tune. They know what's going on. That's really cool. And Instagram, that's a great source. Ravelry.
It's a rabbit hole.
It is. It's a rabbit hole. So, yeah, those are just a few, but there are so many. I don't know in particular, but I've really been excited about how much crochet has just taken off.
It's
really
changed.
taken off.
Yes.
And so I've been, you know, kind of looking around on, you know, some different sites on that too. So, yeah.
Well, this has been incredible to finally get up here and have the chance to sit and
Thank you
chat
for
with
having
you.
me.
Now, before we close up, what are your hours and your days that you're open?
Well, coming up, we have the Huntington Yarn Adventure. So there will be
right.
extended hours, and that's probably the best way is to, you know, check my website for that.
Website, social
My
media.
normal business hours are Tuesdays from 1 to 7. We have open knitting. We have, you know, come in and knit and crochet from 4 to 7. Wednesday and Thursday, 10 to 4. And Friday and Saturday from 10 to 2.
Okay.
And I also do personal appointments. If somebody would like to come in and they want more of a personal service, I do personal shopping.
And you get locked into the yarn shop like we are right now. Our dream come true. And she's like, I'm going to lock you in. And I'm like, yes.
Now the Heartland Yarn Tour, that is a big deal. That's over like
The Heartland Yarn Adventure used to be the I-75 Yarn Pro.
Oh, okay, now that makes sense.
Okay.
Primarily, like, I think it was more into Michigan areas, and
Yeah,
so they
right.
have opened it up, and so I thought, why not? Let's try it. So that's coming up in a couple weeks. And
I can see the dates from here, July
Yes.
28th to August 6th. And I think I heard that there's like 140 shops or something.
there's 64.
64.
64 or
Oh, well,
68.
64,
I might
140.
say it on there. So passports
lot,
are
though.
now on sale. They're $5. And, you know, you can get on the Heartland Yarn Adventure website for all the details. So that's going on. And then, of course, the Yarn Discovery Tour,
is in
which
September.
that's in September. So that will be really fun. And that's a 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
I was gonna
3
say, wait,
weeks.
No, it's not. It's 3 weeks.
I'm getting my yarn crawls confused.
That time
So
of
we
year.
have 2 coming up. Lots of fun. You know, I will see what happens. But
So definitely make a road trip and come up to Vermilion.
Mm-hmm.
Cast On Yarn Studios.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Thanks for having me.
you.